following program is classified G. It's suitable for all ages.
Tonight, in the current economic crisis, like any government would have done, the government is trying to keep the most crucial sectors running despite deaths, losses and sometimes questionable management. The country's energy and power sectors are two such sectors which keep providing most essential services and products despite the two sectors being in difficult financial situations due to their own issues and due to issues between them. Good evening, I'm Suzanne Shanali, this is Derana and The Morning Investigates. After weeks of disputes, discussions and uncertainty, the main institutions coming under the energy sector such as the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation or the CPC and the Energy Ministry are now struggling to find a mid or long-term sustainable solutions to the crisis in the energy sector, which depends largely on the imported crude oil. While there is a discussion about making fuel prices more methodical and scientific, there is also a discussion about another fuel price hike. The newest development in the struggling energy sector is Sri Lanka receiving 40,000 metric tons of diesel from India, which according to the government will help manage the crisis in the energy sector for the time being. Speaking to the media following the receipt of the said stock of diesel, Energy Minister Udaya Gammanpila thanked India for its prompt actions and explained what this stock of diesel means to Sri Lanka.
The entire world knows Sri Lanka is now facing a foreign currency crisis. It has been affected most, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation being the biggest importer in the country. So when we are in trouble, we sought the support of our friendly nations. Then India came forward and offered us a line of credit of $500 million. While we were processing that $500 million credit facility, we found that we can't concluding that agreement because of the drought. There is a newly generated demand for diesel in the power sector. In order to meet that demand, we urgently needed diesel. We informed our good friend, Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka. In turn, he advised the IOC to supply 40,000 metric tons of diesel.
As the minister and the government have mentioned earlier, one of the major issues that has worsened the crisis in the energy sector is the provision of fuel and related products to state institutions of credit, which Sri Lanka has been doing for a long time. According to Gammanpila, the situation has worsened and has reached a point where the CPC has to require payments at the time of sale, especially for the Ceylon Electricity Board, in order to prevent the energy sector from collapsing.
විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලය රුපියල් මිලියන 80000කට වඩා ණයයි. ඒ නිසාම අපිට දැන් තෙල් මිලදී ගන්න මහ බැංකුව අපිට කියනවා අපි ඩොලර් දෙන්නම්. ඩොලර් මිලදී ගන්න අවශ්‍ය රුපියල් දෙන්න කියලා. අපේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් එයාර්ලයින්ස් සහ විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ දැවැන්ත ණය නිසා දිගින් දිගටම පාඩු පිටේ ඉන්ධන විකිණීම නිසා සභාපතිතුමා ඊයේත් කිව්වා ඩීසල් ලීටරයක් ගන්න රුපියල් 50ට පාඩුවට කියලා. ඒ නිසා අපි විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට දැනුම් දීලා තියෙනවා අපිට රුපියල් වලින් මුදල් ගෙවුවොත් අපි අවශ්‍ය ඉල්ලන ඕනම ප්‍රමාණයක් diesel ලබා දීමට අපි සූදානම්.
He further expressed concerns about the present situation, emphasizing that the CPC does not receive fuel for free and is suffering massive losses. When it comes to the losses incurred by the CPC at present, there is a discussion about increasing fuel prices again to reduce these losses. Even though fuel prices were increased several times in the past few months, according to the CPC chairman Sumit Vijayasinghe, price hikes not being adequate to cover the said losses is a massive issue. He explained the current situation regarding fuel pricing and why price hikes are necessary.
පසුගිය වසර දෙක 2020 සහ 21 වසර දෙක අපි හැරලා බැලුවට පස්සේ අපිට පේනවා 2020 වසරේ කොවිඩ් තත්ත්වය හේතුවෙන් ලෝක වෙළඳ පොලේ තෙල් මිල විශාල වශයෙන් පහළ බැසීමක් සිද්ධ වුණා. ඒ වගේම 2020 වසරේ ඉන්ධන පරිභෝජනයත් ඉතාමත් අඩු මට්ටමකට පැවතියා. ඒ තත්ත්වය හමුවේ අපිට 2020 වසර කණිතෙලිනික සංස්ථාවේ විශාල බලපෑමක් ඒ ඉන්ධන අලෙවිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් විශාල බලපෑමක් ඇති නොවුණත් 2021 වර්ෂයේ ගත්තට පස්සේ 2021 ජනවාරි මාසයේ ඉඳලා 2021 දෙසැම්බර් මාසය දක්වා විශාල කණින් තෙල් මිල ඉහළ යාමක් ලෝක වෙළඳ පොලේ මිල ඉහළ යාමක් වාර්තා වුණා. මේ තත්ත්වය අනුව අපි බලශක්ති අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් කරන ලද ඉල්ලීම අනුව බලශක්ති අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් අපි කරනු ලැබූ ඉල්ලීම අනුව 2021 ජුනි මාසේ අපිට 11 වෙනිදා ඉන්ධන මිල ඉහළ දැමීමක් සිදු කරා. ඊට අමතරව 2021 දෙසැම්බර් 20 වෙනිදා ඉන්ධන මිල ඉහළ දැමීමක් සිදු කරනු ලැබුවා. මෙම ඉන්ධන මිල ඉහළ දැමීම ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම සිදු කරනු ලැබී ඊට පෙර මාසයේ තිබුණු ඉන්ධන මිල ගණන් සැලකිලිට අරගෙන 2021 දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ ඉන්ධන මිල 2021 නොවැම්බර් මාසයේ ඉන්ධන මිලට වඩා වේගෙන් ඉහළ ගියා. ඒ අනුව අපි පසුගිය 2022 පෙබරවාරි 7 වෙනිදා ගරු ඇමතුමාගේ අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරා ඉන්ධන මිල ඉහළ දැමීමක් අපි දෙවන වරටාවට කරේ. ඊට අමතරව අපි අද දිනේ ගරු ඇමතුමාට ඉදිරිපත් කරා කණිත නීතිගත සංස්ථාව මේ වන විට ඩීසල් ලීටරයකින් රුපියල් 50ක් අලාභ ලබන බවත් පෙට්‍රල් ලීටරයකින් රුපියල් 17ක් අලාභ ලබන බවත් අපි ගරු ඇමතුමාගේ අවධානයට යොමු කරා. අපි ඇමතුමාගේ ඉල්ලීමක් කරා වර්තමානයේ මුහුණ දීලා තියෙන කණිත නීතිගත සංස්ථාව මුහුණ දී තිබෙන තත්ත්වයේ සැලකිල්ලට අරගෙන ෂණිකව ඉන්ධන මිල වැඩි කිරීම සඳහා ගරු මුදල් ඇමතුමාගේ අවධානය යොමු කරලා ඒකට අවශ්‍ය අනුමැතිය අපිට ලබා දෙන්න කියලා. ඊට අමතරව අපි යෝජනා කරා ඉන්ධන මිල ඉහළ යා සහ පහළ යන ප්‍රවණතාවයන් අධ්‍යයනය කරලා ඒ අනුව අපි යම් නිශ්චිත කාලයක් තුල මිල සංශෝධනයක් එහෙම නැත්නම් පිරිවැය නිරූපණය වන ඒ පිරිවැය සැලකිල්ලට අරගෙන ඒ නිරූපණය වෙන මිලක් අලෙවි කරන මිලක් සංස්ථාවට ලබා දීමේ ක්‍රමවේදයක් හඳුන්වා දෙමු කියලා ඒ යෝජනා දෙකම අපි ගරු ඇමතුමාට ඉදිරිපත් කරා. ගරු ඇමතුමා අපි හිතනවා ඉතාමත් ඉක්මනින් මේ සම්බන්ධව අවධානය යොමු කරලා නුදුරේ අපි සංස්ථාවේ අලාභය අවම කර ගැනීම සඳහා සුදුසු ක්‍රමවේදයක් සකස් කරයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Fuel prices has remained an issue for years, if not for decades, and when looking at the steps taken by the authorities to reduce losses, it is evident that mere fuel price hikes is not the solution. After the break, we discuss a new initiative the Energy Minister is expected to propose in a bid to resolve the energy sector crisis. Welcome back. For years, Sri Lanka has been in need of sustainable and long-term solutions to make the energy sector more stable, efficient, eco-friendly and profitable. However, in a context where the sector keeps suffering losses due to a multitude of reasons, the authorities are now looking at a measure the former government tried to implement. The discussion on the crisis in the power and energy sectors and fuel price fluctuations in the world market are taking place in a context where Gammampila has stated that he has planned to present a fuel pricing formula to the cabinet in order to make fuel price changes more systematic and also fair to both the state and the people. With regard to the CPC's losses and the fuel pricing formula which is yet to be submitted, Vijay Singha noted that even though fuel prices were increased in the recent past, price hikes were based on the fuel prices in the previous month in the world market. Also, he stressed that fuel prices in the domestic market not being increased to reflect the increase in fuel prices in the world market is a problematic situation. That is why we have requested a reasonable fuel price hike in order to minimize the CPC's losses, he said, adding that this is also where the matter of the fuel pricing formula comes in.
විපක්ෂයේ විසිනොත් අවස්ථා ගන්නකදී ඔවුන් විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කරපු මිල සූත්‍රය සම්බන්ධයෙන් සාකච්ඡා කරා. ඒ වගේ සොයා බලනකොට අපිට වඩා සුදුසු ක්‍රමයක් අත් වශයෙන්ම පිරිවැය අපිට ඉන්ධන ආනයනය කරන්න ඊට පස්සේ ගොඩ බාන්න ඊට පස්සේ මේවා අපිට බෙදාහැරීම් ආදී කටයුතු සඳහා යන වියදම් සලකලා බලලා අපිට මිලක් තීන්දුව කරන ක්‍රමවේදයක් අපි සකස් කරන්න කියලා යෝජනා කරලා තියෙනවා. එම මිල සංශෝධනයන් මාසයකට වරක් හෝ මාස 3කට වරක් හෝ සිදු කරන්න ඕනේ කියන යෝජනාව තමයි අපි ගරු අමාත්‍යමායත ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙන්නේ.
Responding to a question as to by how fuel prices, especially the prices of diesel and petrol, should be increased, he pointed out that even though the amount of losses incurred by the CPC from fuel has been identified in a context where a lot of industries and economic activities depend on fuel such as diesel, more discussions will have to be held to determine how much fuel prices need to be increased.
එකවර අපිට අලාභය සම්පූර්ණ පියවා ගැනීමට නොහැකිවත් අධීර කීපයකින් මේ අලාභය පියවන ආකාරයෙන් කටයුතු කරන්න අවශ්‍යයි කියන යෝජනාව තමයි අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
Moreover, he spoke to the fuel pricing formula introduced by the former United National Front-led government.
යහපාලන කාලයේ මිල සූත්‍රය කියන එක මේ විශේෂ කාරණයක් නෙමෙයි. ඉන්දියාවේ තියෙන්නේ මිල සූත්‍රයක්. අසල්වැසි රටවල් ගණනාවක් අපේ ඉන්ධන මිල තීරණය විකුණන ඉන්ධන මිල තීරණය කරන්න මිල සූත්‍රයක් භාවිතා කරනවා. ඒක රටින් රටට වෙනස්. ඉන්දියාවේ ක්‍රමය එකක්, අපි භාවිතා කරපු ක්‍රමය තව වෙනසක්.
Alleging that even though the UNF-led government introduced a formula, it was not implemented properly, and adding that it was implemented according to political objectives, Vijay Singh has said that he believes that a proper pricing formula, which reflects the true cost, is completely divorced from politics, needs to be introduced. To discuss the importance of a fuel pricing formula and what sort of formula can benefit Sri Lanka, he spoke to the Samaga Jana Balawegaya opposition parliamentarian and economist Dr. Harsha De Silva, who was a minister of the UNF-led government. He said that it is better late than never, adding that after 2 years the government has realized the truth about fuel pricing.
I'm glad at least now the government is trying to act responsibly. You see, the fuel price formula was introduced by Mangala Samarvi rather than Minister of Finance because that was the right thing to do. There is a market clearing price, and if the government is trying to sell fuel at a price lower than that market clearing price, what that means is you are giving a subsidy to all users. And when a subsidy is given, obviously the usage is higher than what the market clearing price would have meant. Technically, that is not appropriate.
Noting that the government has to deal with this issue immediately, he said that the fuel pricing is critically important at this juncture.
A lot of people don't understand this, but it is fuel pricing that causes enormous imbalances in the financial system. It is important that whoever is in government gets the fuel pricing right. Now, in the case of the formula, what it tries to do is to reflect market pricing. So, when prices go up, a part of the increase or the entire increase is then pushed to the consumer. If the price falls, that benefit, in part or in totality, is once again pushed to the consumer. So there is a volatility really in doing this. I mean, in countries in the US, even in India, many countries, you will find fuel prices being adjusted almost every single day based on some sort of pre-agreed formula. Now, the issue is if there are sharp changes in the price, you don't want the price to go up by 10 rupees today, fall by 7 rupees tomorrow, go up again by 3 rupees the next day, and so on. So you can always have a upper and a lower band, and the price can sort of fluctuate within that band. Statistically, you can do that. You can find the mean and you can find the standard deviation, and you can agree on the dispersion of that. So these things can be done easily. I have myself, when we did the price formula for milk powder and for LP gas, we built in a statistical technique so that the volatility could be managed.
These matters, Dr. De Silva said, must be collaborative exercises between the government, the industries, price regulators and also consumers' representation. He also said that everyone meeting and discussing, understanding the issues, being on the same page and agreeing on the final pricing formula are important.
My suggestion is to do that. That's what developed countries, well-governed countries do. And that's exactly what we did.
He said, while also emphasizing on the importance of every person getting an equitable price. According to Gamman Pillar, in addition to proposals regarding a full pricing formula, requests have also been made to remove all taxes on fuel imports in order to give the CPC a relief through that and thereby manage fuel prices in the domestic market despite losses. While price hikes do not generally receive favorable responses from consumers, a pricing formula would perhaps be able to control price hikes or the impact of price hikes, because a systematic formula also involves reducing fuel prices when costs decline. As many countries are already using such formulas, and in a context where Sri Lanka too has tried to do that in 2018, perhaps a fuel pricing formula can be the long-term solution we have been seeking for years. However, as was mentioned earlier, such methods should be implemented properly in a way that benefits both state and people without being subjected to political influences. Well, in case you have missed to watch any of the programs we aired tonight, you can always rewatch by catching us on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Derana English. Thank you for taking the time to join us on Investigates. Investigates will return next week with another matter that affects you and me. Till then, see you soon.